Okay.
All right. Well, we got Otha Smith, the third here, CEO and founder of Tetragram. This is the Family Tree interview season 2. Uh, you want to kick us off with a question, Roz?
Yes. So with your company expanding into the Massachusetts area, have you been able to work with the Cannabis Center of Excellence at all, or had any communication with them about your business?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that you ask. So I just launched something today on LinkedIn, all the social platforms, because we just announced a partnership with the Cannabis Center of Excellence, doing some research with some veterans, actually.
Okay. Was that
Yeah,
part of the iCount program that they're doing?
I believe so. Yeah, so Dr. Marion McNabb is the one who reached out to me initially and asked me if we wanted to get involved in it, and I was like, absolutely. So yeah, that is the iCount thing. So I'm really excited about that because that's 450 Massachusetts veterans that will be getting product from Gibby's Garden, uh,
Okay.
Gibby's Garden cannabis products, and then we're going to use Tetragram as one of the avenues that, if they want, the veterans can use our application to document how effective those Gibby Gardens cannabis products were in helping them with their health and wellness. So that kicked off today, and I'm really excited about it.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. It's veterans is one class of consumers that has just been completely overlooked,
Hmm.
by the federal government, as among many other things, for utilizing cannabis in order to help with all these suicides associated. So,
Hmm.
I think we could get some great things going with that.
Yeah. That leads me into my next question. So, you and I actually ran a 5K last Thanksgiving for suicide prevention. And so in your opinion, what will events like that do for the community? How can we engage with the community by doing events like or it was 5K for suicide prevention?
Yeah, I will admit I did win that race too, but
Oh, those things ain't easy.
yeah, 100%. But it's just all about creating awareness, right? Like, a lot of people don't know that 22 vets, is estimated that 22 vets die of suicide every day. I mean, that's an alarming statistic.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, you think about that, and the only way to really draw awareness to it is to have campaigns and different events where we can create this awareness about what's going on within the veteran community, and
Hmm.
then also tie it back to how cannabis can be alternative medicine, or adjunct therapy. Maybe they can't get completely off of certain prescription pills, but if we can at least reduce their use of it and
Hmm.
replace a good portion of that with cannabis, I mean, I think that's a win-win at the end of the day. So more events like that need to take place so that people who don't know can become aware of what's going on.
Have you
Yeah.
seen in on your platform that a lot of patients, or whether they're veterans or just patients who have had used like big pharma, like drugs and stuff before to like help with their illnesses, do you find that when they start to make that switch to cannabis as like a relief from using the medication, that they're being able to be vocal about it on your platform?
Yeah, I mean, on June 1st, we launched a cannabis research survey in partnership with the College of New Jersey and CERI, which is the Cannabis Education Research Institute. And so we put this survey out there, and it was not surprising because statistically, if you look at states that go legal, whether it be medically or recreationally, opioid and prescription use drops dramatically. And so we found that same correlation in this survey that we put out there to the public, where people clearly told us that their prescription pill use or their opioid use has been greatly reduced because they've been replacing it with cannabis. So Mother Nature will always win at the end of the day.
Hmm.
Definitely, 100%. So So I'm based in South Carolina. So for somebody who is in South Carolina and don't have access to like a regulated product, how can Tetragram help them if they don't like if they're getting from their guy and the guy says, "Oh, I got some good stuff and I got some decent stuff." So like, what would you recommend for that particular user?
Well, given that we're trying to stay on a legal and above board, I would definitely not recommend you utilizing a legacy market dealer anymore. So
I
I
like
would
the term
always.
that you use for that, though.
What's that?
I like the term that you use for that, though. It's more sophisticated.
Yeah. Legacy dealer, man. It's like even me, like you here in Maryland, where I still got connections to that market, but I just become too bougie now. Like I want to know what's in it,
Who grew
how
it, exactly what they
exactly what was it tested for and all that. So
Yeah.
I would say in states that if you're going to do it where it's not legal by the state medically or recreationally, still use Tetragram, because if you are going to buy from a legacy dealer, there's tons of them out there, and so you want to keep track of which one is giving you
Yeah.
product that has the most relief, right? So you find out that some dude is always selling trash, then of course you can log that in Tetragram and be able to be like, look, man, I'm not messing with you. You can see why,
Yeah.
But I always advise people to try CBD too. You can find a lot of relief there. Of course, it's not going to be the same, but that would be my advice, is still keep track, because honestly, when we look at the data, we have a lot of people who are utilizing Tetragram, and they're in states that aren't legal, medically or recreationally. So it just again goes to show that now you have a way to keep track of which legacy dealer is supplying the fire, which ones isn't.
Definitely. Hey man, so you pitting the legacy dealers against each other, man. They might be coming after you soon. So man, that dude from Tetragram, man, I lost some customers because of him.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, you'll probably be good with the other one, though. It's like they send them right over here. So you know what? Keep doing your thing.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, that's the whole thing too, right? I mean, that's one of the reasons why I created Tetragram, is because it really is, in my opinion, going to be the first ranking system in cannabis, because all three of us can be growing this. Like if all three of us were growers and we were growing a strain of mimosa, for example, each three of us are going to have different genetics of that mimosa. At the end of the day, some of it might not be a mimosa, and so. If Roz's mimosa is shown to be very therapeutic for people with PTSD, and mine shows to be very therapeutic for people with, fibromyalgia, then we should understand what we're doing, so that we can show other people that this is how you need to do it. This is what that product needs to consist of. And if they're not willing to step up their game on the cultivation side, then by all means, get out of the industry.
Yeah. You brought up a really great point. Tetragram is I think is going to be a really great tool once this thing becomes fully legal, because you can see, okay, this strain is very helpful for this particular condition. And so then you get to start looking at the terpene profiles, the cannabinoids, and then you get to narrow it down. It's like, oh, this strain actually helped over here. And then you can start to look at what the common denominators between each strain.
Exactly right, man. Because there's a lot of people out here who are selling products that just aren't good. I mean, you're always going to have bad players in every industry. I mean, this is something that we're putting into our bodies, and so we want to know that it's healthy for us. And ultimately, when cannabis becomes legal and it becomes covered under insurance, the insurance companies are going to want to know, like, which cultivars are growing those products that are showing reward, and then what's the impact that it's having on the population, so that they can adjust your insurance premium. Because it's happening right now where you go to the doctor and you tell him, I got an X, Y, and Z problem, and then he makes a prescription for you. Before you left the parking lot, that data has been sold to the insurance company, and then next year you wonder why your premium went up. Is because now they're saying, well, Otha's at a higher risk of X, Y, and Z, so we're going to up his premium because he's probably going to need it given this prescription pill that he's on.
Yeah. Wow. Definitely. Yeah, man, I'm excited for what the future holds, because we get to I think a product like Tetragram is going to weed out the trash products. That's one of the reasons why we started this particular series. We wanted to combat the emergence of white collar weed. You know, as weed becomes legal or cannabis becomes legal, you know, the big players are going to just pivot. You know, big tobacco, big pharma, you know, the alcohol players, they're going to get in and they're just going to be, you know, worried about the money. They're not going to be caring about the consumer because, I mean, obviously, look what industry they came from. They weren't caring about the consumers in their previous industry. So you can't expect them to come to cannabis and actually care about the people.
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree. I mean, that's why, you know, when a lot of people come to me and say, hey, you know, what do I do? How do I get into this industry? And if, you know, so many times people want to be a grower or a dispensary owner, and I always try to advise them, like, you know, have you grown anything in your life? Have you worked retail? Retail is a nightmare, you know, always open, never close. And, you know, not to mention, it's just a lot of red tape to go through. So, you know, I always try to get people to look at like the ancillary side of the industry because there's a lot of momentum on that side that people can really take advantage of. But you know, we'll see. I mean, that's why if if your heart really is into growing, you know, I would advise people to grow strains that are shown to be like have a goal in mind. Like, you know, I like working with growers who are like, listen, I want to grow a strain that's strong in CBN. Why? Because CBN is shown to be very helpful for people with insomnia. Like that gives you an angle, right? Because then people are like, well, wow, you know, anyone who has problems sleeping, I don't care if I'm on the West Coast, I want to find out what that grower is doing on the East Coast because that strain he's growing is really powerful for helping people sleep. So really try to navigate or find a niche market or become like a boutique grower where you're growing completely organic, like something that is hard to replicate and really requires a lot of passion and love for you to, you know, continue to create your lane without having, you know, corporate cannabis to squash you.
Yeah, I agree. You know, you know, everybody wants to just get in this industry because it just seems like the thing to do.
The next
Um,
rush, gold rush,
yeah, it's
they're calling it.
yeah, it's the green rush, and so, but I think you know there's certain qualities that it takes to succeed in this industry. So, in your opinion, what does somebody have to have, you know, to get into this industry and to succeed?
Well, first off, you got to understand the history of cannabis, like the racist history of cannabis. Like a lot of people, like, oh, I never knew that cannabis was made illegal because it was had a racist motive behind it, and like that's number one. Secondly, you got to have an appreciation and a love for this plant. You know, like it's just such a beautiful thing. You got to really embrace all of its components and understand it thoroughly. I mean, if anyone considers themselves an expert in the cannabis industry, I immediately become apprehensive because we're still scratching the surface. You know, no one can consider themselves an expert. So knowing the history, having an appreciation for it, and not coming in with the mindset that you're just going to get rich quick, because that is definitely not going to happen. I mean, it's just not a reality. You know, majority of the companies, even some that are, you know, listed as being valued at $1 billion, majority of them are not profitable. And so we're really in a time right now where, you know, we're really going to see, again, it's going to be another shakeout in the industry to see who makes it through and who doesn't, because capital markets are drying up. People aren't getting the access to capital like they once were. And this goes for the MSOs as well. So, you know, it's you got to have the tenacity as well. So I think that's the best word for it, is tenacity, that there's going to be more hurdles and more ups and downs than at Six Flags in this industry. And you just better be prepared for the roller coaster ride, because this one does not stop until it decides to stop.
I recently took regulatory affairs of cannabis course from Clark University. It was a quick 3-month program. I took 3 courses, and the first class was about the history of it. The second class, the history and education. The second course was the public health side of it. So like, what if somebody wants to open a dispensary or something, like what are you bringing to the community? Like, what are the concerns of the community? Like, what are you what are you trying to work with as far as like what data you're able to collect and like what you're actually helping with in the community as far as like, public smoking policies and stuff like that. And then the other one was like the business side of it. So like building up the application alone to even apply to have a business, and what you need to have in order to even get that application looked at. I feel like a lot of people very heavily underestimate what it takes to actually get a dispensary up and running off the ground, or even like a grow operation, legal grow operation up and running off the ground. The paperwork is nuts. And I took the course just to build out what it would look like. And I'm like, this is an absorbent amount of research I had to go through just to write like 8-9 pages.
Oh yeah, I mean it's wild, and I mean it's all built like that to a design. I mean that's the number one reason why 98%, 93, 98, 97% of this industry is predominantly white. I mean it's another structure that was put in place by making it cost prohibitive, right? So like here in Maryland, they put a cap on the licenses, which has its goods and its positive and its negative. But one of the negatives is how are minorities going to participate when, in order to even qualify to have your application looked at, you got to have $1 million plus in the bank to be a grower. I mean, to be a dispensary. If you want to be taken seriously as a cultivator, you got to have like 4 million in the bank. I mean, no one has that underneath the mattress, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And people talk about like, I don't know, I could really go down a rabbit hole with this, but it's just, that's all been set up by design. I mean, you talk about desegregation and letting Blacks actually be able to congregate and have the same access as white counterparts. But if we look at that, bro, it's only been like 70 years when there's been 400 plus years to make up for. So us as minorities,
we haven't even
we don't have that family wealth that everyone else has been ability to gain over those centuries of time.
Yeah, like the most staggering thing to me, when I look at cannabis and just my own research is, you go back to 1619, and in 1619, they had the United States wasn't even formed yet. It was the 13 colonies. And so in Jamestown, it was mandated that you had to grow hemp if you own land. So that tells you that it was a part of the law to grow, you had to grow hemp. And so, you go back to that time frame, everybody of our skin complexion, we all know what our role was in society at that particular juncture. And so we go from being forced to grow and cultivate it because they weren't cultivating it. They were forcing us to, if they did own slaves. And so they go from forcing us to learn this trade, because in my opinion, that's what it is. It's a trade. And so you go from forcing us to learn this trade, and then you go fast forward to 1937. And like you said, when things are becoming, everything's starting to integrate and, it's segregation, but we're coming out of segregation, shortly after that, and you go to locking us up for it. So that's really one of the most staggering things about the entire cannabis industry, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's why I shout out to my homies at 40 tons, Anthony and L'Oreal, right? So, they're all about it. We're trying to free prisoners locked up over a plant. And, Corvain Cooper was one of the fortunate ones who got a pardon by Donald Trump because he was serving a life sentence for cannabis. So there's so much that needs to be done. And I just look back and, I'm happy to see that, expungement clinics and so forth are happening, but we still got way too many people of color and, even Caucasians and other races locked up for this plant, which is this. I mean, can you imagine being locked up right now for something that's illegal in your state? Like, I'd be furious.
Furious.
Yeah.
How furious one would be.
Right.
And I can imagine that's how they feel now.
Oh yeah, 100%, man. I'd be jumping on them bars trying to get the hell out of there.
Yeah, man. Like I've been to a lot of trade shows, festivals, and conventions, within the last 2 years. And, one of the things that always stands out to me is, we get to go and, have fun and network and smoke and chill and, do whatever. And it's like, I can't help but to think while I'm at these events, like, damn, is people really locked up right now for what we're out here doing right now?
Yeah, yeah. I remember when I first graduated college, and I was still running my detailing business, but I was like, man, I don't know, let me see if I can get a job, just getting a job anywhere, right? And so I had some cannabis convictions, and I wasn't able to get hired at a couple of jobs because of those convictions.
Mm,
So I went through the process before it became really popular now of getting my record expunged of a lot of that stuff, because you had to wait like 5 years, I think, for a majority of them, 10 years for DUI. And so, that was an expensive process, and I had to fill out a ton of paperwork in order to do so. But yeah, I mean, these minor convictions for something that is so harmless can really set people back. And again, that's all been designed to do that, so that it can hold people such as ourselves who look like us from gaining the competitive edge in this world.
So I wanted to kind of get into a little bit more of like the next version. So like I said before, like I was able to watch your interview with Medwell, and that you mentioned earlier that you guys have a version 2 coming out. So I've been able to recently just downloaded the app, and I did my first journal entry. I like the interface. It's very nice. It's very neat. I've used a lot of other, not a lot, but I've used other apps, downloaded other cannabis apps where they're trying to build that social platform, but it's like like a 420 Instagram kind of look. It's not as clean. It's not as like efficient with questions, and you care about the ratings that you're asking, like from 1 to 10. How did you feel before? How did you feel after? If you want to take a photo, like for people to see, like either the logo or for people that personally grew their own, and you can still post that picture, but it's not like it's not a straight grab for attention from the 420 industry. It's more like just how are you feeling? Let's talk about this. What are your ailments? For version 2, I think you said something that you want to get a little bit more into the chat, people being able to interact person to person. What is what is that looking like right now? Is that still the plan? As far
Yeah,
as
yeah, 100%, 100%. I can't give away too many details because
I won't ask them.
everyone is trying to build what we're building, which is a good thing. But yeah, I mean, we're definitely going to expand the social component of Tetragram dramatically, and I mean that with every ounce of the word. And so, really allowing people to just engage directly, not only among other consumers, but also among the industry as a whole. So, if you want to engage with the brand, a certain brand, if you want to engage directly with a certain dispensary, or even like if you have a great relationship with your doctor and they're totally behind cannabis use, and they want to understand your journey better, we're going to facilitate that need. And so I'm really excited, man. Version 2 is on the way. Just to put it in context, like, that beta version that we have out now that, scaled dramatically, 150 plus dispensaries. I was rated one of the top 40 under 40 in cannabis. I mean, the list goes on.
Yeah.
And we built that in 4 months. This right here, I've been working on for 2 years. And so
Can't wait to see that.
yeah. So when you talk about coming out with a splash, brother, I'm gonna be the splash brother on this one. Trust me. So, yeah, I'm belly flopping in that pool when this one come out, and so I'm just excited, man. So my intentions is to make this a great Christmas gift to the industry and release it Jan 1.
Wonderful. I'm very excited for your company, and just the fact that there is a platform out there that cares about research, because I feel like as much steam as it's gaining right now, people still don't understand how important that research is going to be to create better laws for veterans, better laws for medical patients, to get doctors to be able to be like, all right, I'm in this conversation now, because some doctors are still skeptical while others are like putting their foot in it. So just to have this kind of platform where people can start connecting and getting certain information and getting good recommendations, I'm very excited to see where this is going, and congratulations, for real.
No, I appreciate you immensely, King. I mean, that's what it's all about. Like, not only do we do this, but we have that research component where we work with universities, independent researchers, so that, it's just all about getting the data out there so that everyone can understand how powerful this plan is,
Yeah, definitely.
And so I'm gonna wrap up with the last question. I know you're a busy guy, and we don't want to take too much of your time. You know, with everything that you said, you dropped some really great nuggets. You know, my question is always, well, I wouldn't say my question, but I'm always curious as to what people's impact. What is the impact that you want Tetragram to make within the industry?
That's a good question.
In the industry that a lot of people are just trying to get in just to get a buck.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the impact that I want in this industry is for, ooh, how much time do we got? I mean, so I think the biggest thing right now, and I was talking to my business partner about this. I was like, you know what, man, like Tetragram, you know, the impact that I want to make is provide the product transparency to the consumer. And that's what I've been homing in on. I do a lot of my best thinking when I'm in the shower. And I was like, that's where I want this app to do, is so that, you know, because I just find it utterly ridiculous that, like, if you go to certain states, you can't get access to the terpene and cannabinoids. You can't get access to the lab results. And I mean, what world do we live in where that's possible? That's kind of like us going to the grocery store, and I'm like, listen, fellas, I'm gonna cook for all three of us tonight. You know, you tell me you got a food allergy. Roz tell me he has a food allergy. I'm like, all right, bet. And so I go to the grocery store, but I can't read none of the ingredients on the food. Like, that's where we are in cannabis. And if we want this industry to really be taken seriously from a federal level, we got to get our act together and show that we're going to provide all the detailed information necessary to that consumer so that they feel like this is a safe product. And Tetragram is going to lead that, because the people and the cultivators that, you know, stand behind their product, they're going to provide that transparency on my platform. And the ones that don't, they're going to get shook out. So I got a little excited on that one, but I get, you know, it just irritates me, man. So I think if the ultimate impact is creating standardization when it comes to product labels.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. I think that's more than necessary. So yeah, we'll wrap up with that. Where can the good folks follow you and, you know, engage with you and you know, follow what you guys got going on?
Yeah, so on Facebook, the Tetragram app, Instagram, the Tetragram app, and Twitter is @Tetragram, because of course they banned us at one point, so we had to switch that one up.
You got to talk to Elon on that one.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Well, I don't even know. I just read the data. He's backing out of that deal. But
for real? I got to catch up.
yeah. But and then you can always follow us on, you know, hit up our website at the tetragramapp.com too. So I encourage everyone to definitely follow us on IG for sure. That's where we make most of our noise, because once we have version 2 come out, you don't want to be late on this one.
Yeah, definitely. And then they can also, you guys also can download the app from the Apple Store and the Google Play Store as well.
Correct. Yep.
So it's a great app.
It's
a great app too.
Well, we appreciate your time, brother. You know, we're definitely looking forward to what you guys got going on.
I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to chop it up with you today and talk about the impact that we're doing. And you know, at the end of the day, this take control of your personal journey with cannabis and utilize Tetragram as that way to do so, brother.
Yes,
sir. Right now.
All right. I'll be good.
Bye.
See ya.